Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to All Women Driven, the podcast all about women in automotive and how they got to where they are today. I'm your host, Sarah Davis. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, or Spotify with All Women Driven, or you can find me on Instagram as Beauty Mama Bear. Don't forget to like and share where you're listening, and don't forget to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube so you get notifications every time I upload a video. If you like my channel, you should also check out the Law MacArthur channel. I'm on there as well. I am a podcast host or co-host along with short content creator. And then Tim is wonderful. We have great information on all things Ford news and information. So definitely go check us out if you have any questions about Ford or the Ford product. Now, we also have the Ford Video Guide channel. You can find Tim over there where he goes over all of the modifications he has done to his Bronco, um, along with some podcasting or some video content about his trips and travels and whatnot. You should also go check out RagnarCon, All Terrain Nation, Johnny's Car Cannon Reviews, who is our Canadian side of things when it comes to Ford. All wonderful channels. Go check them out. There's a few others in my description below. So, without further ado, this week's guest is Dawn. Welcome to All Women Driven.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, what do you do?
I lead communications for Ford Trucks at Ford Motor Company in Detroit. So I'm responsible for leading our communication strategy. It's mostly our new product reveals, first drive programs for Maverick, Ranger, and F-150.
Okay. I think I met you at the Maverick event
Yes.
last year.
Yes, when we first revealed, we had an
Yeah.
briefing. So it was good to meet you
Yeah,
the first
that
time.
was wonderful. We had a lot of fun with that and everything. So, have you always been in the automotive industry?
The majority of my career, yes. I started out working for another automaker across town
Okay.
for about 8 years in Detroit. And then I moved out to LA with them. And then I left thinking, okay, this is all I've done. Maybe what else is out there? And my husband got a job in Chicago and we wanted to always live there anyway. So we moved and I worked at a PR agency for about 5 years. The first year I did not do any automotive. And then we had the opportunity to pitch GM actually. And I had a lot of relationships there and it was kind of what I missed. So I helped us get that business. And then I found myself being like, oh, I really like this a lot more than the other stuff I'm working on. But I still worked on a lot of non-automotive clients, food and beverage, some corporate, some eye care, insurance. And then I also worked, I left and I worked for a consumer electronics company and did a lot of product PR, similar to what I do now, but for smartphones and smartwatches.
Okay.
And then I was like, I've done a lot of things. I've lived in a lot of places, in-house agency, and out of everything I've done, I love product PR at an automaker, and that's what I need to go do. So then I moved back to Detroit and got this job.
Awesome. So, are you from Michigan?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So I am born and raised here. I went to Michigan State. My husband's from here as well. But then we were in LA for about 3 years and we were in Chicago for almost 10. And then we've
Okay.
been back here for about 7 or 8. So
Okay.
back home, and
Yeah.
it's going to be
So,
closer to family.
do you have family in automotive then?
Not really. My grandpa and my uncle worked in the plant,
Okay.
but it wasn't really, you know, it wasn't like my dad worked at in the automotive industry or anything like that. I just felt growing up in growing up in Detroit, it's all around you.
Yeah.
And growing up going to the auto shows, I always found it so exciting. There was all these shows and all this excitement around the new product reveals. And I wasn't even there for media days, but the consumer days were really grand. And
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that's like where I could make a career. Like, you've made it if you could work at one of the big three. So it was just something that was always in my sights and it was always around me. So I felt like that was something I was interested in pursuing.
Okay. So with the PR and everything, you do what events do you get into?
So I'm responsible for like leading our new product reveals,
Okay.
first drive programs, other sustainment kind of events. So usually when we first reveal a product, we want all sorts of excitement and buzz, but we also don't want it to just fall away. So there's just ongoing storytelling, finding out what are those unique stories, what are the unique untold, stories about the people and the product that we can go tell. What are other events or things that we should get involved in? And then the first media drives. And then also, there's all the industry awards or, trying to get North America Truck of the Year.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of other things that go into it as well. But that also allows us to do a lot of really fun things because we've got new products that we need to go showcase their capabilities and what they can go do.
Awesome. So getting into automotive, you said you got into it kind of with your PR company and pitching. Did you find it hard getting into the automotive, or did you find it kind of easier in the media or PR sense?
Well, yes or no. So I studied communications in college, but communications is so broad. So, I mean, it's like I feel like when you have that degree, you have to have a lot of motivation to try to make it what you want it to be. So, and to try to specialize a little bit more. So I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life because there were so many things I could do. So I just got a lot of internships. So I spent every summer getting a paid internship and even the jobs I had during school to try to get internships. So I had 5 internships in college,
Okay.
and a few of them were with Volkswagen, and one was like at a local PR agency. And then my last one was with GM. And it wasn't until that one where I really was exposed to what like a communications career could be like and what public relations was like. I was in the community relations group, and I had also spoke Spanish, and so I was also involved with a lot of our diversity communications initiatives. And it was just so much fun, and I was really exposed to the other types of roles in the organization. And I thought, like, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is amazing. I love this. But I'm dating myself so I had a summer internship, and then I went back to school for 1 semester, and I was going to graduate in December. Well, then that was the same fall as September 11th, 2001. So right after that, nobody was hiring. Like, the world basically shut down. There was no chance of getting a job. And I thought, I've done all this work. I've really set myself up. And now I'm going to have to like be a customer service operator or something that I don't want to do just to get a job, because there literally were no jobs. And usually you were going to be able to have a chance to get a full-time role if you were an intern, but there was a hiring freeze. And so I was just applying to everything I could. And I learned that there was an opening at the automaker for like marketing communications, and there was an exception to be hired if you spoke Spanish.
Okay.
So I thought, great, I'm going to pursue this. But it was like company confidential, and I didn't know what it really was. And then I learned, like right before the interview, that it was for the legal staff to be a legal assistant to review marketing and advertising materials, which is not the career I really wanted at all.
Yeah.
But my dad really convinced me, saying, you need to just get your foot in the door because it's impossible to get hired otherwise. And it was true. Like, you got hired right as an intern, after an intern. And if you didn't, you needed 5-10 years experience to be considered to get in from the outside. And so I took this job. I got the job. I took it. I literally cried like almost every day. It was the worst job. I hated it. And it was so hard and challenging. And I had to give a 2-year commitment to this job, and I did. And I did the 2 years. And then I was able to get hired internally onto the
Okay.
communications team. So I would say I had the experience to get in, but the timing wasn't right. But I felt like I had to do some things I didn't want to do for a few years to try to get myself in. And even the role I applied for, I was told I wasn't qualified for, and that the person would mentor me. And I wouldn't take no for an answer and really just convince them that I had all these transferable skills and I was the right person and I had the right role and I was going to go back for my master's degree and all these things. And I convinced them and I got the job.
Yeah.
And then that really was the beginning of everything else.
Awesome. So, now I had an interview with Sumi earlier in the month, and she mentioned something about hot air balloons.
Yes.
So, is that something that you do on the side?
Yes, I'm a hot air balloon pilot, and
Awesome.
I have been for 25 years now, which is crazy.
Wow.
But I grew up doing this my whole life. My dad, I'm at one of 7 pilots in my family, the only female. But I grew up doing this with my dad and my uncles, and ended up getting my license when I was 19.
Okay.
And so now I go to different balloon competitions, and I have my own side hot air balloon ride business that I do on the weekends, mostly some evenings in the summer. And yeah, that's my total passion.
That is awesome. Not automotive, but still a way of transportation.
Yes.
That is awesome. Do you have any other side hobbies or things that you do?
I love traveling and I love planning trips. And I'm really into the points and miles game. And so I get a big adrenaline rush whenever I find some kind of big win.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm not working, I'm known for being on trips or traveling or planning trips.
Okay. So, what is your vehicle preference?
I love trucks and SUVs.
Okay.
For sure. I've always been that way. Even when we get if we're traveling and we have a rental car or something, it's got to be an SUV or something larger. I'm kind of like, I don't want to ride in a car. I just love being up higher. I love being able to have more capability. So it's good that I'm the truck communications manager because that's what I prefer.
Yeah. So, do you feel like the Maverick is something that you would drive, or is it not? I mean, it's lower.
Yeah, the Maverick's great. I think Maverick's an amazing truck. For me personally, I have 2 kids and I have a big dog, so it's not the right fit for me.
I get that.
But I think it's a perfect fit for a lot of people.
Yeah. I had one for a year. And I had 2 car seats, one front facing, one rear facing, and my husband did not like it because he'd said he doesn't fit with the car seats. I'm like, I fit perfectly. I'm 5'4", it fits me with the kids perfectly. I don't need anything else.
But is he sitting in the back with the car seats? Probably not.
No. But he was sitting, passenger seat. He's like, no, this is too much. I can't handle this. I'm like, okay. So we got him a big F-150.
Well, F-150 is perfect. Yeah,
But
my kids are 11 now too,
Yeah.
so they're bigger than car seats. So
Yeah.
we need a little bit.
We took a Ranger to Colorado. Had 2 kids, 2 adults, and 3 dogs, all in the cab of a Ranger, for 8 hours to Colorado.
Great.
I was told I was crazy because it looks like very little space back there, but we made it work. I sat in the back with the kids, and the dogs took my front seat.
Yeah, well, we've got different trucks for different needs. So it sounds
Yeah.
like you got the F-150, you can do anything.
Right? We actually sold that for a Fusion.
Okay.
Still favorite thing. Have you driven a 25 Expedition?
No, I have not tried the 25 Expedition. I have 25 Navigator. I've driven that. So
Okay.
both are pretty amazing. I have seen the Navigator up close and was joined my colleague Dan, who leads expedition stuff at their embargoed briefing. So it is a pretty great vehicle with a lot of
Yeah.
new
I can
features.
say the Tremor rides very well.
Yeah.
My mom's deciding on Tremor, so she's like, let's go for a ride. So we took it, drove for a little bit. So I can say that the Expedition Tremor is amazing. So
Great.
Who or what inspires you?
My dad was a huge inspiration to me. We tragically lost him about 3.5 years ago, but he was just kind of always running after every challenge and living life to the fullest, and really taught me to be curious and to take advantage of every day and to have a lot of fun along the way. So he was always one of my biggest inspirations, but I think even more so now, I am just always taking those teachings and thinking about what I've learned in my life and how he lived, and it inspires me in terms of the choices I make every day.
Awesome. So, how would you say we can encourage women to get into this community?
I think like leading by example is huge, and sometimes just like being out there and being a female in the automotive industry. I think when people see someone that looks like them doing a job, that goes a long way. You know, I'll post on social media photos of being at media drives, jumping rafters in the desert, or driving a Tremor along a cool trail in California, or when I'm with friends and family on the weekends talking about, they'll ask what I'm currently doing, and I'll explain, maybe about a reveal we're planning, or not telling them what we're revealing, or maybe after the fact, what we did, and maybe, some of the well-known people that were involved. And I think it exposes people to the other types of things you get to do in certain jobs that is beyond just sitting at a desk. Don't get me wrong. I sit in a lot of meetings. I do a lot of PowerPoints, Excel spreadsheets, and being at a desk. But there's a lot of other really fun, unique things you can do in some roles, and I think talking about that and sharing that goes a long way. And it's not only just a female being in a role, but sometimes the teams that we're leading might be mostly male, and there might be a team photo at the event, and it's like me and one other female, and there's a bunch of guys. But I think like that's what makes it cool too, is showing leading by example, and showing that there's different opportunities out there, as long as and that you can go pursue them too.
Yeah. Let's see. So you like to travel. What is the favorite place that you've traveled to?
I really love Maui. I've been there like 6 or 7 times. I love Napa and Sonoma. Also have been there probably a few dozen times. I have family that live near there, so I've grown up going there a lot. And then when we were in LA, it was pretty easy to get up there. But I also really love Italy, which is a place that we've been to a lot. So I just love the food and drink and, lifestyle. And there's just so many places to see. The well-known cities are wonderful and great to go to time and time again, but there's also some really great, kind of hidden gems and stuff, whether it's like renting a big villa with family in Tuscany, or last summer we found this cool little area called Santa Margherita, which is in the Italian Riviera. And we found this really great Airbnb. We split it up. We had a bunch of, there's like 8 family members. We all went. We split it among all of us. It was way cheaper than a hotel. And we had this like amazing view of the ocean. And we were kind of like felt like locals in this little small town and able to, take little side trips places. So it's fun
Yeah.
to discover new places, especially, when, you're just discovering them for the first time yourself.
Yeah. That is awesome. So, have you done Bronco Off Rodeo or Raptor Rally?
I'm responsible for Raptor Rally.
Okay.
So I lead all of that. So I'm glad that you mentioned it.
Yeah.
We're planning the second one this fall, October 24th and 25th. Ticket sales actually go on sale later this week. We're going to talk about that
Awesome.
today. So yes, I'm all about Raptor Rally. I've done Bronco Off Rodeo for Bronco Raptor outside
Okay.
of Vegas. So
Yeah.
that is definitely a good time, and encourage anyone who has a Bronco to definitely take
Every
advantage of
time.
that perk.
Yeah. Especially Bronco Sport. I really encourage our Bronco Sport people. You don't
Yes.
really know what the Bronco Sport can do until you go to Bronco Off Rodeo. And then you really learn that this vehicle is capable.
Right. Well, so when we did the Maverick Media Drive last month, we
Mhm.
did it with the Bronco Sport Media Drive.
Yeah.
So it was like 2 programs happening at the same time. And the feedback on Bronco Sport was just what you said, that, people didn't know that it was as capable as it was and that it could do what it did, and that
Mhm.
they had such a great time. And there was definitely a few people who thought, going into this, I didn't really have a huge positive opinion about Bronco Sport, but now that I've
Mhm.
seen what it does, I'm eating my words and I take it all back.
So Tim went to Bronco Supercell in Wisconsin, and he saw a Bronco Sport. He had a buddy from the dealership go with him. He took his Bronco, and he couldn't get his Bronco up this hill. He didn't have a rear locker, and he could not get past this hill. So he hopped in with my dad, and they took off. Um, they saw a Bronco Sport conquer that hill. Just take it and go. And he's like, my gosh, you couldn't get your 2-door Bronco non locker up that, but they just got their Bronco Sport up that. So it was quite a thing to see. And I've seen some Bronco Sports take on Colorado, and that's something to see as well.
Yeah, it's capable and it's affordable. So
It is.
great combo.
Yes. So, what is your favorite event that you've put on recently?
Raptor Rally.
Raptor Rally.
Yeah, I mean, that started with just an idea, and definitely different from what we typically do, because
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm typically working with media,
Yeah.
and we're getting earned media coverage. And this is focused on owners. So owners of
Mm-hmm.
F-150 Raptor, Bronco Raptor, and Ranger Raptor. And we had 200 trucks, and people had all sorts of drive experiences and workshops, and we had pro drivers there giving hot laps and doing meet and greets, and we had vehicle displays and Ford news that we were able to share only, for the first time for the
Yeah.
people that were there. And uh, it was great. The feedback was extremely positive. We had all sorts of Raptor clubs there, engaging with everybody. And this year is going to be bigger and better, like twice as
Awesome.
big, more driving experiences, more engaged. We've been working with very closely with all the Raptor clubs. I think we've got about
Yeah.
10 of them coming with caravans of
Yeah.
members. Um, Getting involved with the dealers ahead of time as well to be more engaged, and making sure that their customers know and that the dealers know what's going on. So it's going to be an awesome event. We're really excited. Jim Beaver is going to be our host again.
Okay.
But that was a big challenge to put on, is because it was just something starting from scratch.
Yeah.
And it was great to see the positive reception. And
Yeah.
then we also obviously got a ton of key learnings, it being our very first year.
Yeah.
and we're taking those to make this one even better. So this year it's going to be in Lake Havasu, Arizona, and it'll
Okay.
be a really great setting. So we're excited about it.
That is amazing. I will look forward to seeing footage from that. We don't have a raptor, so we probably won't be there, but we can't wait to see that footage.
Yeah,
We
no,
had a
it's
lot of
good.
fun watching.
We'll have some footage for you.
Awesome. So, you know, do you drive an F-150 or for your daily?
My daily right now is a Lincoln Navigator
Okay.
because I was feeling fancy. But
My mom had a
I
Navigator for years.
well, and I was driving an Expedition for the last several vehicles.
Okay.
Um, and we get some different deals internally. So that's just kind of what weighed my decision. But um, like I said, I've got a few kids, we've got a big dog. We
Yeah.
also have an Airbnb in Northern Michigan. And so
Okay.
sometimes we're bringing stuff up there, like, maybe a new piece of furniture or,
Yeah.
we're even just loading up our family just to go for the weekend.
Yeah.
And we fill it up. We've got like a dog crate, we've got,
Yeah.
our suitcases, we might have, some other things that we might need to bring up
Yeah.
for taking care of the Airbnb. So kind of need all that extra space and want to have it enclosed. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
currently driving. But the fun thing is we get to switch our vehicles like every year. So,
Okay.
try a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So, what breed of dog do you have?
I have a Bernedoodle.
Okay.
And he is 75% Bernese Mountain Dog and
Okay.
25% Poodle. So this is
Wow.
our first dog we've ever had. But he
Okay.
is a goof and a good time. He's 2 years old. His name is Benny.
Okay. Yeah.
He's hanging out at my feet. It's
Oh
too
man.
big for me to lift up for you, but it's my
We've
companion.
had we've had an Australian shepherd that's as big as my husband will go. And I'm like, but I want some farm dogs. Even though we don't have a farm, I want some big fluffy Newfoundlands or Bernese mountain dogs or something like that. I want big and fluffy.
Well, a dog would be cheaper than getting a farm, so you can have that argument. Or maybe not. I don't know.
We
It's not
bought
the
chickens this
cheapest.
year, so it's we're homesteading in town as
Yeah.
much as we can. Chickens, 3 dogs. We're going for it.
I love the chickens. We looked into doing a little chicken coop behind our garage, but
Yeah.
our when we first moved here, but then our city doesn't allow that. So
Oh
we just have
man.
to find a good place to get some farm fresh eggs.
Yeah. See, we I talked to someone recently. They said that they weren't allowed to have chickens. I'm like, that is so sad. We're allowed to have 15, and we can have one rooster. So we
Well, so
went
you got
for
some good eggs at home.
yeah, we went for 10. But a lot of people are buying chickens because they're like, it's gonna save money on eggs. No, feed is $20 a month, and you have to buy bedding that's $10 a month. So you're spending twice as much on eggs
Yeah,
and
but
have to care for them.
but they're more than twice as good as the kind
Yeah.
you would get at the store.
Yes, and it's
So
teaching our 2 little boys how to care for something along with the dogs. So,
that's good. How old are your boys?
mine are 5 and 3. So, and then you said you have 2. Are they both boys?
Yes, they're twins and
Okay.
they're 11.
Okay.
So
Are they into
the good
sports?
news is that they're like, more independent now. So when they were 3 or 5, that was a whole different time. So
Yes.
the good news now is they, can help out and they're more independent and
Yeah.
it's definitely a lot easier.
Yeah. So, do they play sports?
No, not really. We've tried a lot of sports, and nothing has really stick. We've tried a lot of things,
Yeah.
but I would say the good news is that we're not in all the travel stuff, so we can determine how we spend our weekends and our time and
Yeah.
our vacation days. But
Yeah.
they are into. They are part of a sailing team in the summer.
Okay.
We are in an area with a lot of lakes. So they
Yeah.
have these like little sailboats for kids to learn on. And then It's something that they can pursue in high school
Okay.
is with the school district. So that's pretty fun, and
Yeah.
it's not as strict and stuff either. So it's like if you have to miss, a week or a weekend or a meet or something, it's not a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they've been dabbling in tennis and
Okay.
soccer, like some rec leagues. So we have that, but I was kind of disappointed we weren't all in on a sport. But in the end, I feel like it really we're
Yeah.
actually we're actually the winners.
Right. Yeah.
So
We're in gymnastics right now.
yeah,
And there's weeks where I'm just like, I don't want to go to the Y at 6 o'clock for gymnastics.
yeah, they do a lot of after school activities, and I know that as they get older, there's going to be more
Yeah.
opportunities for clubs and other things. So I know that they'll get involved, and that'll be important for them to
Yeah.
have some things that they're
Yeah.
involved in and doing. But
Well, once they can
right
drive,
now, it's
they pretty
focused
much.
on like let's do our homework and let's like
Yeah.
make sure we get good grades on our test and
Yeah. Yep.
those
Have a good
types of things.
base.
Yeah.
So, well, it sounds like it's pretty busy for you then. With the kids, work, hot air balloons, and everything. So, um, it's sounds like a lot of fun for what you do, helping out with all the events and everything. So yeah, but it's wonderful to hear about your position because I didn't know like if that's marketing but it sounds it's communications. So that is wonderful.
Yeah, so it's communication. So everything that we do. So I'm also working with the media, on a day-to-day basis. So if someone's writing a story about one of our trucks, then they would reach out to me if they have a question about it, or if they have a spec, or they want to talk to an engineer about something, or they saw something controversial and they want to like ask me about it and get a comment.
Okay.
So uh, but everything that we do is with the goal of trying to improve awareness, improve consideration, trying to build and improve, maintain and improve our reputation, maintain our leadership in trucks, and trying to get find what are those stories that we can
Yeah.
get out there so that we can have positive media
Yeah.
coverage. But everything is earned. So it's like we're giving the opportunity for you to like learn about this or to get this experience, but we have no control as to what, your ultimate story is going to be.
Right.
Which is, differs from marketing where it might be we're running an advertisement or we're
Right.
placing in, we're running a commercial. We're paying for an influencer to say something specific.
Yeah. So it's fun to hear about these different positions. There's so many little hidden jobs or things that in the automotive industry that a lot of people don't know about unless they start getting into it or into a certain company or a certain area of the company. There's positions in the dealership that a lot of people don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you get into the dealership and you find out that there's a title clerk, that there's this person that handles all of our, transactions. We have, everything going on here. So, finding out about your position and what you do, that's kind of like a hidden position that a lot of people don't hear about. So it's wonderful to hear about that from you.
Yeah, thanks. And I mean, every, many major companies have communication roles
Mm-hmm.
and, across the industry, in terms of a similar role to this. So
Yeah.
even within Ford, there's so many different types of roles, like, in
Yeah.
terms of communication. So, I handle trucks, but there's somebody, that handles SUVs, and there's someone else who handles enthusiast vehicles or EVs. But
Mm-hmm.
then there's also people who, might do a similar thing for, software or, um, they do employee communications. So even within like Ford communications, there's so many different opportunities. So even if you had one specific role, you could I mean, for me, I'm kind of camping out here because I like it. But there, you could definitely kind of dance across the different opportunities and get a lot of different experiences and, at different locations too. So, and I'm part of the intern team as well. So, like in terms of interviewing interns and trying to um, uh, see, who might be the best fit and telling them about what we're doing. So, I'm excited to we have an intern starting in a few weeks who will be joining my team. So, it will be fun to be able to expose him to what is available at Ford, but I know we've got a lot of other female interns joining as well.
Awesome. That is good to hear. So, well, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully you can join us again some other time, or share out our podcast for others to hear.
I will. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another week of All Women Driven. Join us in 2 weeks for another episode. I might have something coming, so we might have episodes every week for a minute. We'll have to see. Join me. Remember, subscribe and hit that notification bell so that way you know when I'm posting my videos. You'll get a notification when I do. So have a wonderful day and join us next time when we look into the past to push women further in automotive in the future. Bye.